Welcome to The Higher View, where we share hot topics and current events from a higher perspective. With your hosts, Victoria Reynolds, Kathy Mason, Geraldine Orozco, Goddess Gloria, and Joan of Angels. Now, let's get this show started.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
You're muted, Joe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to The Higher View. Today, we have an incredibly important topic to discuss today. We are at the beginning of the month. This is also the beginning of the year, astrologically, and we're going into an equinox as well soon. And this really marks the beginning of major, major transformations in the world. And we see a lot of things moving and shifting in our world today. So we're going to discuss several of those topics and kind of talk about how important March plays a role energetically, cosmically, and in the world changes as we already hear them. There are talks of war. There are talks of many of new information that are coming out medically, scientifically, conversations of interdimensional contact and UFOs, major, major changes and advances in so many different areas of our life. And it really begs to question why everything is happening now. As we move through this year of 2023, a major year of transformation, we are going to be preparing not only physically, but multidimensionally to begin a transformation of humanity. And so many of us have really been hearing this month, March and April, as a big months for transformation for our collective. So we're going to discuss some of those topics, taking a look at I just made a list of some major topics, and I'm going to open the floor for everybody to discuss them. Looking at, cleansing and renewal, letting go of really, really old programs, not only internally, but collectively. This really makes room for new inputs of new societal structures, new ways of interacting with one another, new laws of interaction in ways that are more promotive and expansive, healing, holistic. We really want to begin to look within us to see where we are housing these programs and shift them so that we can collectively change. We're also taking a look at a transformation of the deepest ego or the individual self away from the collective. What are those programs that keep us separate from the whole and bring us into a unity consciousness? Looking at the activation of our higher faculties so that we can begin to interact in a way that's heightened intuitively, to learn how to discern, how to contribute and not contribute to maybe things in the world that are causing harm. How can we support the shift in timelines from wars, from all this negative things that are happening in the world into something better? And what does this new world look like? How do we contribute to building that? So I'm going to start that off, and I would love to open the floor to our beautiful ladies to begin to discuss these topics as we enter March and what you guys have been picking up. Go ahead. Anybody want to start off? Go ahead.
What's that?
Anybody want to start off? Anybody want to share?
I'll go ahead and start since it looks like no one else wants to really jump in. What's interesting about March in general is that it represents spring, and it actually is the first month of the year on a 13-month calendar, which is, the feminine calendar that got set aside by the various masculine calendars that have replaced it. And they're really what I'm really, really feeling. And some of us have known this for a while. We've been feeling a return of the divine feminine, a return of the goddess, the mother aspect of source. And I think what I'm starting to sense, and I've been really feeling this the last few days, that we're going to see more of this, the creator, mother creator, and her influence in the human experience. And that is a completely different level of love. It's an unconditional love. It's a pure love. It's a non-judgmental love. And what I started seeing yesterday is that Mama is coming and rescuing the children of Earth, and that her role is part of this divine intervention human beings keep asking for. And it really feels like March is playing an important role in that. I started getting this message actually on March 1st, which is, no surprise because spring is a feminine season, and the spring solstice is a feminine celebration, and that the other thing too is that I started seeing March 2023 as a date that was given to me clear back in 2020. And I still don't quite know what that means, except that it means something. I haven't known if it was for me personally, that something personally is going to happen in March that would impact my relationship with those around me, or if it's something that's happening globally. And it's starting to feel like it's a global experience. There's something that's happening this month. And what it feels like, actually, what I'm hearing is that it's the beginning of the emergence into the new world that we're creating. And exactly how that unfolds, of course, is a mystery. But it's up to us to hold the vision for that rather than focusing on all of the drama and trauma and the swirl of the storm that's swirling around us, rather than focusing on that, which is what human beings tend to do. They tend to focus on the calamity or the train wreck we were talking about last week, to focus on the issues rather than the solutions. And one of the things that started coming through very, very strong for me a couple of days ago is that we've been asking the wrong questions. The question we need to be asking is, what is the solution? What is the solution? And then allow the solution to be shown to us. So I hope that helps, just to start this conversation going in this direction.
I love that. I would like to add to that. One thing that you mentioned, Goddess Geraldine, is how are you contributing, right? And that can be overwhelming. How do we contribute in this new world to the collective conscious? Well, first of all, I want to remind you that this entire human experience is an illusion that you are creating. And so you create it with your thoughts, with your feelings, and with your words. And what I'm going to ask is that you be vigilant with your thoughts, beginning with your thoughts. When whatever it is you're thinking, ask yourself, are these thoughts contributing or are they contaminating? And if you can be vigilant with your thoughts, your words and your feelings will take care of themselves. That's the biggest contribution you can make to the collective conscious at this time, is to really contribute to yourself. Know and believe and trust that when your thoughts, when your words, and when your feelings start contributing to yourself, they contribute to those around you, and collectively we ascend in that beautiful energy that you create. So that's one way that you can contribute instead of contaminate. If you do catch yourself contaminating, sometimes we have thoughts that are either self-deprecating or self-judgment, or maybe judging others. When you catch yourself in that space, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, and then change the thought to that of when that contributes to the collective conscious. All right. I'm going to
I
pick on Kathy.
because I put my hand up. Well, first, I want to say that I am really, really excited to be in this group right now, having this discussion, because each one of us have done so much work and play, work, whatever you want to call it, in our own development to be in service at this time. This is the go point. And a lot of the work that we've done on ourselves and for our clients and for our loved ones is going to show up right now. So that was the first thing. I mean, for the viewers, you have a wonderful assortment of options and viewpoints on how to go forward and not be in fear, but to go forward in joy for all of us. The other thing I want to say is that I think we're all students. What's happening is we're going to see all of the programs that were part of this past 26,000 years of humanity are going to all look inauthentic and are all going to not sustain us. So what we're talking about is that we're all fractals of the one, the source, infinite intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it, wanted to experience a lot. So we're like little cells of God that are collecting data. So the data is high contrast right now. And so what I'm hoping, what today we'll be able to talk about lots of ways that you can connect in so that you aren't afraid during all these changes. March is just part of it. There's so much light coming into our solar system, and those that are here to help illuminate signed up for it before they came. And so I just wanted to make sure that you got a chance maybe to listen to this more than once as all these changes happen, so that you feel safe and secure and feel loved at a high level, and your self-talk reduces to how do I show up as love rather than condemning what had gone before or condemning your own mistakes, because all of our stinking thinking's going to show up right now. So anyway, with that, I think I can pass, but I'm so glad to be here with all of you. Geraldine, do you want to speak? Or?
Yeah, and also Joan, would you like to add something before I say something? Oh, you're muted, Joan. You're muted.
Hello, everyone. So, I want to remind every one of you, and that was beautiful, everyone's contribution, that we signed up for this is absolutely true. This is go time. This is the time for which we actually came here, opened our eyes, and lived so many lifetimes for these moments where we can actually stand tall and do what we came here to do. It is a time when, in a lot of ways, in your consciousness, people are waking up to the fact that we are an intuitive being. We have been connected to divine beings, to angels, to receiving wisdom forever, and we've been asleep. And it's so easy to be asleep here on the planet. But all of these traumas that are happening to the planet, and the threats of war and the destabilization happening, is happening against also an awareness that humanity is having this blanket ripped off to be able to see. So when we say these are the times for which we're called, it's because, get ready, the world will go through a big shaking as truth emerges and as the role you're here to play emerges. So when we look back from the higher view and we sit up here and look down, we go, oh, I'm here now not to suffer the trauma of 2020, all of that crap. I'm here to hold steady exactly for now, because whatever I have here can help hold and stabilize the planet. And so when we remember that we're part of a great unfoldment, and there are two paths, there's a side which will try to deceive and get you worried that all these things on the 3D planet are real, or you learn how to step and see with clarity your role and your higher dimensional self, as everyone here is talking about too. So we are living in a very disturbing time if you just sat in the 3D realm and looked at it and chewed your nails and go, oh, the sky is falling, chemicals are falling, what am I going to do? Chicken Little. Or you go, oh, whoa, this is my time to shine. This is going to be that time that I've been training myself for thousands and thousands of years. So it's a great opportunity. And March 2023 numerologically is the number 1, which is all about new beginnings, standing in for your leadership, remembering who you are, accessing these memories. And that's what all of us on the show do. We help you all access your memories and remember your ancient wisdom that you're connected to. That's why we do this. So, hi guys. So nice to see us in this lifetime again, right? You know?
Absolutely. I love that. And the title of our show today was the apex of transformation and also the apotheosis. And I love the word apotheosis because the apotheosis means reaching the highest peak of transformation, of enlightenment, of awareness before something goes into a transformation point. And that is really what this month is calling out. As we said, the number one, it's the number one. But this apex, this point of transformation, the reason why it's so important is because from this point, from this beginning, we begin to create this incredibly fast movement into transformation based on the foundation that we create internally. And so what that means is that when we talk about solution finding, we always want to make sure that the concept of solution is never so finite. In fact, because we are multidimensional beings, because the nature of this universe is constant change and transformation, it's really about being all and nothing simultaneously in a sense, so that you can always mold and move through the many changes that are happening around us. And this is actually the key message of this month, to try to maintain yourself in some level of neutrality and not attach or get too comfortable in any specific state of thinking, ideas, even if they are spiritual concepts that we haven't fully integrated, being caught up on those things. Because one of the interesting things that is happening right now is we're getting new waves of understanding, and they are different waves of seeing the world, seeing ourselves, seeing each other in a different light, different perspectives. It's really important to continue in that state of transformation, to be able to let go of anything we've been holding on to. Sometimes even the things that we think are positive for us can be holding us back, because they are holding on to an old timeline of a truth that may have been truth before, but now we need something different. And for this world right now, we have all been so, in a sense, complacent, almost drunken in hypnosis, where we think that there are large groups that have major power and control over the choices of this world. And something that we're going to be seeing very much in the next couple months is that we need to understand that as the masses, the unification of humanity in its highest state of consciousness is actually the liberation of mankind, meaning that we can transcend any kind of proposed power plays or power figures that have been constructed as an illusion in our world, and see what is good for you. What is good for you? What is healthy for you? What is holistic for you and your children? And what we can do in communities in order to begin to create conscious communities in states of absolute truth and authenticity. And that's another really important point that I will add is, what does it mean to be truth? What does it mean to be in line with truth? And one thing that I would love to pose to everyone is that when we align by these laws of constant change and transformation, this is actually where we can see truth, because truth is always kind of moving and changing in order to abide by the higher collective. What is good for the collective? Not just the individual self, but the whole. So this is kind of the next main point that I would love to put out there. How do we define truth, and how do we apply that?
I'm going to start with that as well. I just want to add a couple of quick things. One, the other term I was hearing for this month is the tipping point, which I love, because Geraldine, that also is just another way of saying the apex, the tip. And that's where we've reached. There's a tipping point that is occurring right now, that is changing the face of the human experience. And the other thing that I think is really fun is the word I was hearing was solution. Is imagine being in a lab and the solution is actually a solution. So if you've ever played a chemistry set, so we are all alchemists and we are changing the entire human experience. As an alchemist, what is the solution? and it actually is liquid. So we're constantly adding new things to this solution and testing it and taking things out. But it isn't, when we think about solutions, it is what, how are we creating this solvent and solving the issues through a flexible, flowing solution that things go in and things come out of until we find the one that works for the highest and greatest good of all concerned. That's a term I use pretty much everything I do. What is the highest and greatest good of all concerned? And when we use that as the basis behind our decision making, it takes us out of what's best for me and my family and puts us into what's best for we. If it is to be, it is up to we. And how then what is truth, as you were saying, is it is continually flowing into higher and higher and higher graders of understanding. And one of the things I was shown years ago is that human beings are given a new level of truth when our minds evolve to have the capacity to understand it. And so part of what I see happening in the world right now is we're trying to create a new world based on beliefs that are thousands of years old, and not understanding that if we're clinging to constructs that are thousands of years old, this is why we keep repeating the same story over and over again. If we're going to create a new story, we have to have the willingness to take a look at all of our beliefs and all of our constructs and understand there is a new truth that is wanting to emerge. And in order for it to emerge through us, we have to be willing to let go of everything that doesn't serve this next level of upleveling for the human experience. And this new understanding is going to be spectacular when enough of us have the willingness to disbelieve what we've always believed and allow, as I put in the comments, if we want to construct a new house, we have to be willing to destruct the old one.
Wow, I love that. I would love to add to that. Thank you so much. In apotheosis, how do we reach a state of apotheosis? It's finding our divinity. I'd like to offer a really easy solution to finding your own divinity. The first one is to remind you that we're the same energy. There's no difference between us and spirit world, us and our creator. It's the exact same energy. And so as we move through this time, through this fantastic time and period of transformation, when it comes to decisions, when you're deciding or come across a point in your life where a decision has to be made, ask yourself, is this in my highest interest? One of the things that my mother did before she passed, she reminded me every day, don't forget, every day, talk to me, ask for things. And so I remember telling my mother before she passed, she was immobile. She couldn't travel or do a lot of things. And so I told her, once you pass, I'm going to take you with me everywhere. And she says, don't take me with you everywhere. Take me through you so that I can feel what it feels like to go in the ocean and to go roller skating. And so that's one of the things that I love doing when I invoke my mother's spirit or want to experience something with her. I'll say, all right, Mom, come through my body and let's go roller skating, or let's go into the ocean. And so I invite you to do that with your higher power, with our creator. Instead of saying, God help me, or whoever you call out to, saying, God, come through me and help me face whatever it is that we're facing, or whatever decision it is that we're trying to decide upon. Don't do it alone. Know that our creator is always with you. Our ancestors are always with you. Your angels are always with you, and you don't have to do any of this human experience alone. So one way to connect to your divinity, or to reach that state of apotheosis while you're still alive, is to remain in constant communication with our creator, with your higher power, with your angels, with our spirit world, so that we know we are one, we're united. I'd like to invite Goddess Kathy to expand on that.
Well, that's there's so much in all of this. I'm loving this. I have been a volunteer for the past, I'm on my 6th year of the IONS group, which is the International Association for Near-Death Studies. And last year, Victoria and Joan were at the event with me. And the concept is we do not die. It's a bigger concept of ourselves. And right now we're transcending this human construct of ourselves into what Goddess Gloria is talking about, into the access to much more knowledge, much more capacity to know from the heart, not the head. It's the journey from here to here that we're going into right now. And what I think is another part of this is the transcendence, which Victoria teaches about transcendence. I think what we're really looking at is everything that you used to do, and actually from when we were shut down, so it's been years of this, we've had to do a workaround. And we have to rethink almost everything that we used to do. I mean, the restaurants used to go to, the stores used to go to, the way that you communicated, maybe some of your family members, maybe friendships. And so this opportunity right now at the go point is to start thinking about being co-creative with the universe, whether you're using that higher expansive view of you as not just human, but as a being of light, whether it's that, where it's transcending your programming, which all of us had it, our parents did the best they could, but a lot of those programs are going to be released because they're not of love, they're of fear. So I just think this whole conversation is so valuable. I hope everyone gets to experience a way of looking at these changes that we're going through as opportunities and not create fear for themselves. Because if you try to hold on to the old ways of being, it's not going to be here. That's the only truth that I know of. But and there's so many brilliant lights that are because of the access of YouTube and all the easy ways to communicate on social media. There's so many bright lights that are coming out that have bits of the puzzle for you that I just hope you're looking at a different way of being that is much more fulfilling and much more in your heart and transcends this time period. Thank you.
Joan, would you like to comment on that?
So everyone's perspective keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And this is really a time for you, all of you out there listening, all of my favorite people. By the way, I want to take time to acknowledge all of you that are tuned in to the show, wherever you are. And we love all your comments and we love all of you. So thank you. You know, I do a process always with people teaching us how to connect to the earth, to the center of the earth and ground, and connect to the heavens so we can bring that celestial wisdom down. We have not been born on an easy planet. We chose to come down here because it's a tough planet for the lessons. And let's face it, they tell us we came down here as volunteers, but our memories are wiped clear the moment we open our eyes here. And we're subject to false programming. And we're subject to conflicting information. Like we might feel like we're a little beam of light with a special purpose, but here we are walking around with the rest of humans, and we're told that what we're thinking and the angels you might see growing up are not real. And so, or even that idea that you have a special role on earth, you're told that that's crazy thinking. And so your uniqueness when you get down here is deliberately stamped out. And the whole goal is for you to remember anyway. Like, you come down here so that you can go deep inside to start to spread your wings and fly. And you're usually against adversity the entire time until you get it. And so it's time to really celebrate that the reason you went through all of this is for now. Now, today, 2023 and beyond, 2020 and beyond, you've been in training lifetimes for these moments. So the key here is, even if you go, oh, because I work with a lot of people who go, Joan, what's my soul purpose? Well, soul purpose part one is to remember, oh, yeah, well, maybe these ladies are right. Maybe I'm here for a reason. And what would that reason be? And how do I access that? And how do I begin to claim it, even if I don't know what it is? So step one, I'm just going to tell you, is that process of remembering. And then, even no matter what your role is as a teacher or a healer or a mother, you still have a role of learning to handle this light that you carry within you. And so, honestly, that in itself is a full-time job. And if you could just do that over the next period of time, you would find yourself being of service in the way you've always dreamt it's possible. And that is the opportunity we have now. Is it going to be a little hard? Yes, because they may bring us to the brink of the edge where you think you couldn't breathe one more minute, and you might have to. But when you have to, you take that in faith, knowing that you're not alone. You're here collectively with all of us. This ascension timeline is not for the fearless. It's not for the fearless. It's for those who have a little rebel streak inside of them and know the truth is inside and not in the outside world. So it's a great opportunity, guys. Will it be easy? No. Will it be transcendent? Yes. Can we all do it? Yes, because you wouldn't have been chosen or allowed to be part of this awakening if they didn't know you would accomplish what you came here to do. And those are the words from Joan of Archangel for you this morning.
That's amazing. I love that. Also, taking a look at, I love the comment that you brought up about grounding, because it really is about grounding, being in your body, being connected to your body, heightening the senses of your body so that you can really listen and tune in to the emotions that come up for you that are being triggered by the events that are happening around us. Because so much will be changing technologically, globally, politically, and financially, there will be moments where many of us will feel out of place, perhaps not safe in security. So these are some of the things that we have to begin to reestablish our definition of what it means to be safe. And remember that our dependent on external things, people, places, and things in order to create containers of safety, that kind of has to kind of dissolve. We have to become self-containing, essentially a house, a powerhouse of self-knowing, self-trust, and your divine connection to source so that you can discern truth in whatever you're doing. So many people feel separate because they have this illusion. They fall for the illusion that they are separate from one another. But when we stop expecting and looking outside for those solutions, for those things, when we come into ground, into our center, this is actually where we can begin to access the information that allows us to look at the collective well-being beyond just the ego. And so I guess the next topic is a collective ego death, which is something that we're going to really go through this year, which is necessary. Okay, so because of so much social engineering over generations, it's almost as if we have molded to these ideas of what humanity should be and look like and present itself and interact, the words we speak. It's like we have these little masks that we play. So as we begin to question, are those masks really in alignment with the collective well-being? these false identities begin to kind of dissolve. And it's not just for ourselves individually, but also for collective organizations. Okay, so truths. Are these organizations really in alignment with the collective? That's going to be really visible. And it also goes in alignment with this karmic element where we see truth beyond the veils of what we have been seeing before. So being grounded in your body, holding your space, knowing yourself allows you to be able to observe the truths that start coming up in the world around you, and just, holding that, anchoring yourself without being affected by those shifts in a way. Because what we're doing is we are releasing the old in order to create the new. And we won't know how to create the new if, like we said, we continue holding on to these old masks, these old personalities, attaching to old ways of doing things. This is definitely part of this divine feminine element that is coming into play, which is the surrender. Okay, we come into a surrender. How can you feel safe in absolute vulnerability? That's another thing. And I would love to open again the floor for everyone to discuss, how do we feel safe in vulnerability?
I would like to add to that. Wow, what a great topic. And I know that vulnerability, for a lot of people, they feel it in their gut. And so I invite you to be vulnerable. You already are. Most people are, and they have no idea that you are. And the way that you become vulnerable or allow yourself to be vulnerable is to trust. Not just trust everybody, but really trust yourself. Trust your feelings, trust your choices. As a matter of fact, you're already doing that and you don't even realize it. That you're trusting millions of strangers you've never met to stay on the other side of the double yellow line. As you're driving, you're trusting everybody to stay in their lane. And so you already have that innate basic instinct to trust. And so move forward by trusting yourself and really listen to your feelings. When something feels good, move forward in that direction. Believe that that's guidance from our creator, from your angels, from your ancestors. Just as important, really trust yourself when it doesn't feel good. If you are in conversation or in action or in the company of people that make you feel uneasy or make you question why you're there, trust that instinct, and you can remove yourself or go in a different direction. An easy way to get out of things is to let everybody know you have diarrhea, right? It's easier to say, oh, excuse me, I had diarrhea, than excuse me, your conversation is depleting my energy. And so that's a little tool that you're welcome to use to remove yourself. And it's your right to remove yourself. There's nothing and nowhere that says that you are obligated to commiserate with the people around you. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, so that when you channel our creator, you're a clean vessel, you're balanced, you're happy. Thank you so much, Geraldine, for expanding us on that subject.
I'll say something. So one of the things that I have really worked on over the years is learning how to stay in neutrality. And I think that's really, really going to be of utmost importance as we move through. I've been calling it the backside of the storm. And that as the rest of our constructs start it's the end of the old world collapsing around us, to be able to hold ourselves in that place of conscious neutral observer. And that does take a lot of practice, to be able to not be swayed so emotionally by everything we see around us. And the best way I've found for me personally to be able to stay in that role of conscious neutral observer is to continually ask myself, how can I see this through the eyes of love? how can I see this? Whatever this is that's happening in my world, how can I see this through the eyes of love? And that really, really helps us stay rooted and grounded. And when we're seeing everything through the eyes of love, it actually helps us stay in that safe space within ourselves. Because if we get too emotionally, I'm seeing like a tree, if we're thrown to and fro and all the wind and the storm and the emotions that come with thinking your side has to be right, no, my side is right, and you're wrong, and all the systems are collapsing. Try to stay in this space of continual, how can I see this through the eyes of love? And that really, really helps me stay in this beautiful space within where, and in that beautiful space in my heart where I'm seeing and feeling through the eyes of love, that allows me to continually stay connected to the divine. And in that connection to the divine, that's where the safety is. Our safety is never in the constructs of the outside world. Actually, a lot of the constructs in the outside world are what I call control disguised as safety and security. They're a false safety net. And a lot of those constructs are going to start collapsing because we're replacing them with something even better. So stay focused on the truth that all of this will pass and something even better is coming out of it. And how then can you see all of it through the eyes of love? And how then can I stay in that loving space of neutrality within, knowing that the safety is always within the heart of the divine that exists within myself? So I hope that helps with people who are wondering how, and that trust, and going back to the trust factor. This is about self-trust, which is something that humanity has never been taught how to cultivate. And ultimately trusting ourselves is also trusting the divine, because all of us are connected to divine truth. And there is no separation between self-trust and divine trust. It's the same thing. We just need to remember that for ourselves.
That was beautiful. So I wanted to add, I love that. How can I see through the eyes? How can I see this through the eyes of love? And I think you do exemplify. That is the way you show up, Victoria. So thank you so much for that. What I wanted to add was the idea of non-dual. There's been a movement in the past, I would say 30 years, of a lot of teachers teaching what they call non-dual teachings. And the non-dual teachings allow you to look at things without the emotional triggers. Emotional triggers will help you clear your stuff and see where you have stuck energy. But there is a whole philosophy, and if you look it up, I'd be happy to share authors or experts on it that allow you to look at things without making them right or wrong. And that, I believe, is our path to universal love, which is part of what all of this process is. We want to have the ability to see all beings in an unconditional love, the real namaste, where when you're walking and talking to someone, you're totally present because you know they're a gift, and you know that they wouldn't even be in your realm if there wasn't something beautiful for you, and expect that, rather than the old way of being is protect and boundaries and all of that. But if we could go to universal love, then we would be that much closer to this new apex, and we would be able to turn the ship around faster, in my opinion. And again, non-dual work will help anybody when they are having trouble being objective, because the process is you look at it and it's just the way it is. It's not good or bad. And we can do this. We can do this pretty easily. So thank you.
Joan, would you like to comment?
Again, we get to the point as imagine if this is a theater being put on for us to accept our role. You want a minor role, you want a leading role. Well, the truth is you're the leading role in your movie. Your movie happens to be set in the same scenario that we are in, and it's part of what is not only the collective consciousness, but the collective awakening. The good news is that humanity has tried to collectively awaken and ascend before, but this time it's written in history that it will happen because more of us are waking up. And that really has a lot to do with how you handle the next period of time. No matter what part of the world you're in or what part of the country, if you know that if it's meant to be, it's going to be up to you and how you choose to handle what comes your way. One of my best affirmations that got me through really difficult times was so simple. I am safe, all is well. Whenever I faced tremendous hardship, I would just repeat this affirmation all the time. I'd sing it. I'm safe, I would like go into the market and just go, I'm safe, all is well. I'm safe, all is well. I'm safe, all is well. Like as fast as I could to ward off anything else. But it actually kept me in a state of my own reality, my own sense of neutrality. So when I go out in the world, I might go and hum in the supermarket so that I can continue to regenerate my own little spaceship walking around in the world, my own little reality. When I don't read mainstream news, I really prefer to look at other sources, and I check everything with my own intuition because I'm a sovereign being. So this is really a time, grassroots. It's like, I don't care what the world is telling me. What do I know to be true? What rings that bell for me? All about self-empowerment, because in the end, you're in my movie and I'm in your movie. But we can change the script. We can change the role people have. We can see it as everyone's calling it, that state of neutrality. But it is possible. And it's going to be demanded of us as things speed up and as your vision clears. So my best piece of advice is the following, because we start off as what is truth. If the emperor looks naked and you walk around and he still looks naked, even if everyone tells you the emperor has clothes on him, I would I'd go, well, my own intuition says that emperor is naked. And I say that because I was brought up, because I really want to go back to this circle. I was brought up the following. My dad said, if 99% of the country or world believes the emperor is naked, even if you walked up and you saw the emperor had no clothes on, the truth is the emperor is naked. So we get to really something of the truth is we are the 1%. If you believe in your own sovereign ability to determine truth and to determine reality and where you stand, you are in that 1% that's able to have the wool removed from your eyes. Clarity is quite crystalline clarity, guys. Everything on the planet is to keep you from having it. But when you have it, holy moly. So that's what I pray for all of you, that your eyes, like little windshield wipers, clear away that 99% and go, oh, wow. And then you'll be in that state. Thank you.
That's
Wow,
great.
I love that. I think I'm now going to be looking for all of the naked emperors. Where do they hang out? Thank
But
you.
it's true. And the rest of the world tries to tell you that the emperor has clothes. And if 99% of the people tell you that, then you've got to dig in and go, wait a minute. I know, and what I know is truth, because I am a creator being. Like, everything's designed to have you mistrust that truth, and we have it as a core. So I wish you the best windshield wipers on the planet to go faster than the speed of light for clarity, and then when you get it, you have that higher view. That's the
I love
purpose
that.
of the show in a nutshell.
Love that.
What a
I also,
great
oh,
wish.
sorry. Go ahead.
What a great wish for us to have clarity. And actually, I've been praying or invoking clarity for about 12 years now. I used to pray for things or solutions or physical things, but I stopped that. And now I beg and implore my angels to give me clarity so that when it comes time to make a decision, there's no wavering. I'm clear and solid. And sorry to interrupt you, Goddess Geraldine. I give it back to you.
No, it's totally fine. That's really great. And just to talk about how do we reach neutrality, which is a really important topic, is like our bodies are like these multidimensional organisms that are constantly tuning in to the things that we're experiencing around us. And because of so much input overload, because of our monkey mind that keeps inputting judgments, and we apply so much meaning to the things that we are observing and experiencing in the world around us, it's difficult for the self to find its own zero point, its own self. So for that is obviously meditation, taking time to quiet that monkey mind where it's constantly trying to apply meaning to things, and essentially working very proactively with the emotional triggers that arise as we feel things. What is triggering you? Working and processing those emotions in vivo really will allow you to gently come into a state of neutrality over time. The most powerful way to come into neutrality, to that zero point, is to get familiar with all of the things that trigger you and get to know your processes as you resist, contract, deny, don't want to feel the things that you're feeling. It's really important to feel what is coming up for you, because there is a wealth of information and an opportunity for transformation just in that. And that work changes your entire vibrational frequency. And this goes to my last point, that how do we change collective timelines? How do we contribute to that? It is through our vibrational frequency. So when we cultivate zero point by working with these trigger points, we change our frequency in the way that we become a beacon, energetically a fountain, and an example of this harmonious state of being. And this creates a chain reaction in the world around us. Not only genetically are we heightening our vibrational frequency, our family also begins to shift, communities, and this is the thing. This is how we can begin to change the collective. You change yourself, you begin to change the world around you. And of course, it's all through our filters of perceptions. But the way that we can come in to this state of changing timelines is by holding space in this neutral point of co-creation. And essentially every human that does that, like in this group, these beautiful individual people that are here holding space for themselves and their communities and their families, create a chain reaction within all the people around them. So the more of us, because we are the 99% that begin to come into that awareness and actively work in that, we begin to shift what we allow. We don't want wars. We don't want control of pharmaceuticals. We don't want overpowering corporations to take over financial institutions and monopolize our systems, the food that we eat, pharmaceuticals, our healthcare, and our mind and well-being and education. So as we begin to make these choices consciously, we move away from those tyrannical systems into a harmonious state of being. So this is my final point, and I'll open the floor for anybody else that wants to comment and final thoughts.
Am I muted or unmuted? I can't tell. Okay, so a couple of quick things. One is the words I'm hearing are, what is it that I'm no longer willing to tolerate? So we have been, for many, many thousands of years, simply tolerated whatever we're told to think and told to believe and told to experience by those external influences of there are those who think they are more entitled to lead the human experience. But the truth is that we all have the ability within us to be self-governing. So part of this is no longer willing to tolerate being, I think I'm going back to the rebel that's inside of us, right? I'm no longer willing to live my life by the dictates of someone else because I trust myself to be self-governing. The other thing too is one of the ways to get to that place of neutrality is to recognize the triggers when they come up, because we have them all. And as we recognize those triggers and we learn to process them, this is another term for doing your shadow work. We talked about that a few weeks ago, recognizing the triggers, because the triggers that come up are coming up specifically for us to look at them, reframe them, see them from a new perspective. And from that new heightened perspective, we actually change our physical structure and we become light bodies. Our bodies actually change from being carbon-based, fear-based beings to being love-based, light-based beings. And so when we feel those triggers, not to be afraid to look at them, because there are people who they feel their triggers and they feel the judgments, and they assume the judgment is because someone else did something not wrong, not understanding that when we feel judgments toward another person, it's because there's something inside of ourselves that's being triggered, that's asking for our attention, so that we can process it with love and transmute it into that love and that light, and then be that being that we volunteered to come here and be as a light worker and a way shower. So be willing to take a look at the places within ourselves that we might not have wanted to venture into, and not be afraid. This work is not for the faint of heart. This is about becoming fearless. And when we face our fear and become fearless, that's how we set ourselves free to create this new reality that wants to be birthed and emerge through every single one of us. So face the fear, do it anyway, right?
I wanted to add, because this is so, obviously we could do about 5 shows on this. One of the other things about truth that I've really noticed coming up, I've been interviewing these amazing men that are more balanced in their divine masculine, divine feminine. And when you look at truth, that is part of our evolutionary progress that we are going to be asked to look at and embody. And when Geraldine was talking about 0 point, it is the opportunity to integrate and activate your divine masculine and your divine feminine, which is in all of us. And what's happened is we've been so out of balance. That's part of the evolution of our species, is now to get back into balance, not to use the teeter-totter to go back to the divine feminine is the priority. It's to get to that center point that Geraldine was talking about. And so I think all of us are experiencing that. I know as a business owner, I've focused and gotten a PhD on being more masculine. So this is another opportunity to work on yourself, because the masculine, that's how I could succeed. That's how I could be seen at all. And so now the idea is, how do I get to be more balanced? And that's another aspect that hopefully people will look at, because that's, until we are balanced, our viewpoint isn't balanced. And the truth is that we are divine beings with access to both sides and the magic that allows you to have. And I'm here for the magic. So anyway, thank you.
So awesome.
I'd like to add one more thing that might help everyone get to that 0 point that you talked about, and that is to surrender. Give up on the idea that you know everything you need to know, that you can find solutions. Let that go and surrender whatever it is that you need to surrender, whether it's a relationship, a project, a business, or even your self-care. Surrender it to your higher power and let them guide you, and trust your intuition. Thank you so much. Goddess Geraldine. This has been a great subject.
Amazing. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you so much for your incredible inputs. And I will put in the chat. Joan, did you want to say something? Go ahead, please.
I just wanted to say one last thing to you guys. You know, it's time to turn on our power. So turn up your brilliance, shine your light. You have nothing to lose except life itself right now, actually, if you really want to know the truth. Either you do it or you're going to be left behind in a way. So this is a choice point, March 2023, and new beginnings for all of us. You have a perfect opportunity to say yes, along with everyone else saying yes. So just go with the wave, my friends. Go with the wave of ascension, and we'll all get through it together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So let go of that baggage and get ready for the apex of the year, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an honor, and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Please remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time on The Higher View.